Every story has a beginning, whether it's a flashback telling you the lore of the world or an origin story of the hero. It all begins somewhere. All good stories have a good structured foundation for introducing future plot lines or character arcs, making sure that whatever transpires in the future doesn't contradict what was previously stated. It's consistent. Some stories use what's known as in medias res, meaning in the middle of things, where the beginning of the story is in the middle of the conflict or any active plotline, meaning throughout the story, you work your way back to the start to establish the main driver of the story. There is also a thing called reverse chronology, meaning the story is told in reverse order, starting from the last event to the first. So the last scene of the story is the first scene that happens chronologically in the story itself. There are lots of different ways to tell a story, and if you've ever consumed fantasy media, there's one thing that is established along with the plot: the magic system. Depending on what the story's plot is, the magic system can either be thoroughly developed or it can be strange and mystical throughout the entire story. There are names for both kinds of magic systems: soft magic system and hard magic system. The former being more simple and less limiting form of magic, where the writer is free to use it in a lot of different ways, and the latter being a more grounded and limited magic system, the one where clear rules exist and breaking them is either impossible or there's a heavy price for it, making the writer work with what's established at the introduction of the magic system. Both have its pros and cons, but I'm not going to go in depth about these two magic systems. I just wanted to talk about how well it works in each story and why it works for each one. Since I am a self-proclaimed degenerate, I gravitated towards anime content throughout my life, and so for me that's my home turf, which I know better than a lot of Western films. So I have to apologize in advance. You won't be seeing Harry Potter's, Lord of the Rings, and or Game of Thrones. That being said, I want to introduce the first story of the video. This came at no surprise. For those of you who don't know, I used to have a fairy tale video on my channel discussing this very topic, going in depth, which amassed 700 views, which for me is a big accomplishment. I eventually deleted it due to copyright reasons, which I regret because I could have let it stay on the channel without any problems. Either way, that's a story for a different time. The reason why I chose fairy tale for my first story is because, well, I can't lie, I am biased towards the show because it's my favorite, but also because it's very simple and a good example of a soft magic system. So, what is Fairy Tail's magic system? In the deleted video, I came to a conclusion that Fairy Tail's magic system is basically just emotions, and they are directly correlated, meaning that the stronger the desire for something, the stronger your magic will be. Which is exactly how soft magic systems work. They are based on something unquantifiable and vague. There is no way to measure someone's emotions, we just kind of have to trust the writer that the main characters have a stronger desire to win than the villains. One example of this is when Natsu is fighting Zero in the Nirvana arc. At first, he gets his ass handed to him by Zero, but moments later, he's on his feet taking him on and Jalal gives him the Flames of Rebuke, which at this point Natsu doesn't even know what it is, nor do we ever get to find out. It's just there to power him up so that he can beat the main villain of the arc. This might seem cheesy at times and very inconsistent, which I agree it 100% is, but that's okay because the story itself is not based around clever magic. Magic is used to progress the story forward easier, which comes as a pro for the soft magic system because you can make characters do stuff so that the story can flow easier. You don't have to explain every little thing because magic in this world is defined as something versatile and mysterious, intentionally vague so that when Natsu unlocks a new fire type, you don't question it and just accept it. Everything is just big magic man do big magic things, which may be a turn off for some people. A big con of this type of magic system is the fact that you can't measure the character's strengths correctly because they can always pull something out of their asses and say it's just how their power works. Because hey, big magic men do big magic things. But it works in Fairy Tail because it's just the kind of show that it is. It's a feel-good kind of anime where you watch the heroes struggle as they defeat any foes that oppose them and their family, being willing to die for one another. The magic just serves to express those plots in an epic way. I'm not here convincing you what you should like or not. I'm just saying that different types of magic systems serve different types of purposes, which will bring us to our next point. Perhaps the best shonen anime of all time is Hunter x Hunter. And yes, I am one of those people. While Fairy Tail is my favorite anime, it is by no means objectively better than Hunter x Hunter. There are so many things that I can discuss about it, and honestly, I want to make a video about it. But its magic system is what interests me today. To be honest, I kind of forgot the first part of its magic system because it kind of confused me. But the main thing that matters throughout most of the series is Nen. There's emitter, enhancer, transmuter, conjurer, specialist, and manipulator. Every Nen user falls into one of these 6 categories. A user may use their category of powers to 100%, but the two powers next to it drop to 80% max capacity, and then those next to those two drop to 60%, and then the one on the opposite side is 40%. Basically, you can learn your own category the best. Also, there are contracts that one can make that give the user extra power in exchange for some weakness, like how Kurapika made his chains usable against a phantom troop, but if he uses it on other people, he will die. Basically, every NEN user has a potentially strong power, but with clearly defined limitations. That's of course an example of a hard magic system, being very limited with the range of abilities a user can perform. Nothing comes as a surprise, because when we first see a character, throughout the arc he has a consistent, defined set of abilities he can use. There's no Flame of Rebuke or Ninetales Rage mode. The only time there was a Ninetales Rage mode was when Gon found out that Kite was dead, so out of rage he enhanced himself to a Giga Chad and slapped Nefelpito around. Even though it wasn't explained that users can do that, Gon did that for a price. He traded all of his future Nen power in exchange for a power-up, meaning that he can no longer use Nen. Because listen, hard magic systems do have mysteries in them, and anticipated things do happen, and they can be fluid. But the reason why this worked is because we got both a consequence and an explanation for that. It felt like it fits not only the magic system of Hunter x Hunter, but its entire world. The thing about hard magic systems is that you know what to expect, and fights are resolved in a satisfying conclusion most of the times. It makes for a lot more consistency, and it makes sense throughout the entire series. A problem with it would be its rigidity. You can't make powers OP because you're limited by the way you wrote your magic system. You have to opt for more grounded and realistic solutions, as powers are often nigh omnipotent, and they don't make it easy to tell a story. You have to think a lot more about how you're using your powers. Things like time travel and giant city blasts are out of the question, and that's fine, because it doesn't fit the world of Hunter x Hunter. Powers don't solve all your problems, and they're not supposed to. It's a grounded story about people having their own goals and motivations, which is relatable to us. Same with how Fairy Tail's focus is about friendship and family. The magic isn't focal point of Hunter x Hunter. It's just a lot more thought out to keep the story grounded in reality. And while Fairy Tail sits on one extreme, where magic is your carefree dad letting you do whatever you want, Hunter x Hunter is your responsible mother who loves you, but knows how to raise her voice and tell you no. Both of these work in their own settings. It'd be stupid to think that you can exchange the two magic systems and expect the shows to keep what makes them special. I'm going to finish the video with this one quote. "Don't be a pussy and watch Hunter x Hunter.